the seriousness of Frank, and throughout the last year and a half, you know, there were times when the race was getting complicated, and I never had to ask again where Frank stood. Frank said, "Eric, I shook your hands over a year and a half ago and said, you are my borough president," and he has not wavered from that one moment. Thank you for saying that. And there's a host of people, and I want to be extremely brief because they're going to toss us out in a moment, but there's some people here that I want to acknowledge, because often people believe that we woke up to this great borough. And the reality is, those of us who policed during the 80s, we recall the complexities of living in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn was a place that you were almost embarrassed to say that you were part of. But there were those who were real visionaries, and one of them is here today. I was speaking with him, and I just really want to acknowledge him, and that's Mr. Musk, for what you have done by building the Marriott Hotel downtown Brooklyn, and believing in the borough when many people didn't believe it. And long before hipsters made their way across the bridge, there were everyday Brooklynites that stated this is a place that we can invest in, that we can believe in. And I saw that building being built from my window at 370 J Street when I was a transit police officer, and I watched it go from floor to floor, and I said to myself that this is something special that's happening in this borough. And if we could have a Marriott Hotel, which has become, of my understanding, their flagship hotel, just like IKEA in Red Hook, flagship. No matter what you build in Brooklyn, it becomes a flagship. So there's no reason that I was born, raised, and built in Brooklyn, I'm going to be a flagship borough president. All across the borough, the old story was talking about a tree grows in Brooklyn. But we have dynamic leadership, organizations, institutions, the Tech Triangle, great scholar Dr. Ellis and what he's doing around our young people and teaching them how they don't have to be Metro card leaders but passport leaders. Our children are going to conquer the globe, not merely the geographical boundaries of their block, and it's because of people like Dr. Ellis and some of our great educators inside this city. So here we are at a pivotal point. How do we turn the popularity of the brand into prosperity for every Brooklynite? That's our challenge. Because if we merely build tall buildings and edifices and structures, but have small people both physically and intellectually, then we're not the great borough that we ought to be. My goal as borough president is to show everyday Brooklynites how they can benefit from the greatness of this borough. To attract commerce, and look at what we're going to do in Sunset Park with the new development that's going to take place there. Talk about building in Greenpoint and other parts of the city. Talk about how do we make Brooklyn a place where tourism can go and grow. Talk about how do we attract people to this borough and really use our cultural sense to allow poetry and art to be part of the manifestation that can take place in the borough. People will enjoy each other, love each other. They can learn how to touch base with their artistic side, and that's what we want to wake in this borough. And talk about some of our great leadership by creating what I like to call the Brooklyn Hall of Fame, Club Brooklyn. Great people have come from Brooklyn, and one of those great people we lost a couple of days ago by one of our greatest congresspersons in the name of Major Owens, and we need to always remember the contribution that Major paid to this great borough, our Major Congressman, our Major Owens. And it's also about the diversity. 47% of Brooklyn speak a language other than English at home. That's a real number. So when I go to Brighton Beach and speak to my Russian community, I want to be able to let them know that Borough Hall is accessible to them. When I'm in Bay Ridge and speak with my Yemenis and Pakistani community, I want them to know that it doesn't matter if you're in a mosque, a synagogue, or a Baptist church. Brooklyn is a welcome mat in all of those different languages, and everyone is going to be able to worship and live in Brooklyn in a safe environment. And that's our goal and what we want to accomplish. And let me conclude with this. The other day I was in Red Hook watching the rebirth of Red Hook after Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy showed us the devastating impact of nature, but it also showed us the beauty of human nature, how we came together. And there was a young man that was behind me, and he called out my name. He was a young man I met about 3 years ago. He was showing farmers upstate how to use their farms, not only for prison labor, but how to use it to grow fresh fruits and vegetables and bring milk down to the lower area. Why is he important to me? I met him 3 months after he was released from serving a 17-year prison sentence. And I saw him on the street one day, and I started to speak with him when I came out of the subway station, because, you know, I take the train and bus, and I ride bike share, and I love it. And he stated he wanted a job. But all he had was the green clothing that he took when he left prison. So I invited him to my house, and I gave him a shirt, and gave him a tie, and he says, in this very embarrassing look, he said, I don't know how to tie a tie. So I showed him how to tie the tie. And he put it on, I gave him a jacket, and he put it on, and he went out and spent months doing interviews. And I saw him days later, and he said, you know, I can't find a job, but I'm not going back. I don't want to go back. And we went and walked from store to store until we were able to find him a job. And to see him some years later now doing something productive and teaching anti-violence, because he understood, because he was down, doesn't mean he wasn't out. And I cannot become so intellectual that I can't go on the ground with people. You are not a good shepherd if you don't smell like a sheep. You gotta be among the people. So my run in Borough is not going to be in the sterilized environment of that beautiful building. It's going to be in the communities. If it means walking Brownsville where a young 18-month-old child was shot and killed, or if it means holding the hand of someone who was a victim of some awful hate crime, I am going to be a borough president that will be on the ground to administer the pain that people are feeling in this borough, so we can make the popularity of the brand of Brooklyn turn into prosperity for every